Jacob Hahn. I'm going to have you say your name the real way in just a minute, but all the way from Prague,
Check. Prague.
Czechoslovakia, founder of Sales Doc. We build sales departments that deliver results. Welcome to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
Hi, Wes. Thanks for inviting me. I'm good. Just one thing, not Czechoslovakia anymore. It's only Czech Republic already for the past several years, but doesn't matter.
Yeah. Old habits die hard. So, okay. So let's start there, huh? I was a geography major. I should have known this. Tell us the difference. What happened?
You mean with Czechoslovakia and Czech Republic?
Yeah. Is it related to Russia and the Soviet Union, or?
No. It was actually, I was born at that time, so I didn't experience living in Czechoslovakia. Or I did, but I don't remember that one. But it was more like Slovakia wanted to have their own republic, so we said, hey, let's separate, and it happened.
Sure. I got close to there. I made it to Slovenia.
Oh, nice. Mountains?
I was on the coast. I was speaking actually at a marketing event. Have you ever been called Simple? SEMPLE?
No.
It's every year. I think it's in November. It might be a good conference for you to go to.
Yeah, okay.
And my son, we were talking earlier, my oldest, he traveled the world. He studied in Berlin for a semester, and my daughter just went out there. My 18-year-old, she went there. She went up to Sweden, stayed with some friends. Nice. So getting them a little bit of international exposure.
Yeah, I think Berlin is right city to start when you are 18. The parties there are quite nice, and you can continue throughout Europe.
Hey, that's my little girl, man. She better not be partying. She probably did, but I
probably did.
I digress. So, what led you to this Sales Doc? Are you focused on the U.S.? Is your tool international? How'd this come about?
Well, we started the company 7 or 8 years ago when we were working in sales for the first time in tech company. Before that, we had previous sales experience. Me and my friend, currently co-founder of the company. And we were working in one tech company, and it was for us, it was okay. Hey, there are a lot of things which are not fixed here, and the sales is not that structured as it could be. So after we finished actually our university, and after we finished working for that company, we went back to Czech Republic. At that time, we were in Netherlands, and said, let's set up the company and let's build the sales competence for tech companies. At that time, we're mainly focused on sales outsourcing. So if you wanted to get BDRs, those are the ones who schedule meetings for you. So we were focusing primarily on that, and we didn't want to get into the consultancy. However, I don't think we started the right way with the BDR outsourcing for the right target group. And along the way, we evolved more into the consultancy and interim head of sales company that we can come to and build the sales team for you from scratch, hire people, set up the CRM, set up processes, get the people on the track, and then hand over the team to another head of sales, or we can work as a right hand of the head of sales who is already in your company.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Why we move from BDR outsourcing into that? Because we said we realized soon that we need to be still closer to the company. Working as an outsourced sales team didn't bring such a good results as we started working inside of the company with the founders, with marketing, with customer success, and the faster feedback loop, better calibration of ideal customer profiles, which then make our projects way more successful.
So you two were in sales. Were you doing like a BDR role in the Netherlands for a tech company?
Well, that was account executive role, or the full acquisition cycle. So I had to schedule my meetings, close the meetings, make the business. Then we hand it over to customer success.
Gotcha. So you were in sales, and were you were you not getting good leads? Were you not getting good support from your BDR? Like what was the pain you were experiencing that led y'all to start this?
For me, it was the sales organization didn't exist. So we didn't get our compensation schemes for the first 8 months. So we didn't know how does it look like, what are the targets. There was no development of the sales team, no sales process in place. It was very in a punk way for us. So that started triggering us. Hey,
it was just chaotic.
Chaotic. Yeah, exactly.
How big was the company?
50, 60 people after the first investment, which was 4 million euros. So already quite decent size at that time, because the tech segment in Europe wasn't it wasn't that developed as it is right now, or as it is right now in Silicon Valley.
How many were in sales?
I think there were like 7, 8 people, were two of them, and one leader.
So you're experiencing this chaos. Why did you start the way you did with the emphasis on BDRs? Why did you think that was the path?
Yeah, we thought we could do that better. We can get better talent and train the talent way better than other companies do. Usually
were you starting out like as recruiting? Were you developing people and then placing them as employees, or were they like contracted and they would just do an hourly or 20 hours a week or something for a company?
Yeah, it was exactly the sales outsourcing. So pretty much you came to us and you said, hey, I would like to schedule meetings on that particular market, bring me this amount of meetings. So that's what we focus on. We hire the people, we train them on the sales. From you, we wanted to product training, and then we were developing the markets which you decided. Because what we saw that at that time, we thought this is the biggest problem in the sales departments, not having the enough of leads into the pipeline. That was also partly our inexperience, because right now the problems we see are a little bit different than so it's not having the sales strategy, going for the wrong markets with the wrong product, not having defined who is your customer, or not having the focus, not having the product market fit done, which you cannot fix with outsourcing your sales department to some lead gen agency.
Right. So all right, so how long did it take you to realize, like, okay, this isn't going to work?
Yeah, I think it was like 3 years, because at the moment, at the beginning, we got traction. We started recruiting people, and then after 3 years, we had to release majority of our people, and we realized, hey, this model is not sustainable, because we don't get such a high margin as we would like to, in order to get the high quality people, and the projects aren't that big that we can run it on the volume. And in the same time, we did also already some consultancies or interim projects, and we saw, hey, on these projects, we can remain a higher margin, it's more sustainable, and in the same time, customers are way happier working with us, because we have more of the impact on the whole sales organization. So that's when we started reshifting.
Gotcha. So do you leverage I gotta imagine it would be beneficial, though. You created BDRs, you created a system for generating leads. So did you just bring those people in-house and say, okay, go get us consulting clients now?
You mean the people which we had after? No. The consulting business was more than if you're in the agency world, you get a lot of referrals based on the work you've done. And also, yeah, we use one guy. We then move him into start working on the project and start working for us as a BDR, because he was also quite experienced in what we've done, what we were doing at that time. So he was able to sell, and people trusted him. If you got him on call, you say, hey, this guy knows what he talks about. Because with sales consultants is a little bit tricky, If you don't do your sales pitch right on the first call, you're out. Nobody will have any mercy with you. If you don't do your qualification meeting properly as it should be done, you're gone from the business, because they say, hey, this guy doesn't know how to sell. So how can he teach me how to sell, or my team?
Exactly.
I will never. So you have to be very cautious about the quality of the sales part in this field. So we started developing the market, and we started shifting into the consulting training and interims, which we then give to the companies.
So I see you are a Salesforce and outreach partner. Do you look for companies already using those tools, kind of narrow your markets, or do you work with anyone? And if they have those tools, maybe you can just provide more assistance.
Yeah, well, the idea of how we're building the company is we would like to give you, or we want to give you the full service for your sales department if you're in tech. So selling software, hardware, combination of that doesn't really matter, or custom development. And for us, there are several layers. So you get into the company and you see, so what is your sales strategy? What is your go-to-market? And what are the processes you have defined, like sales process, the way how you manage people, and so on. All of that has to be reflected in some tools. And as we were growing, we're getting bigger and bigger customers. So it wasn't, we stopped consulting for the 10-man business. We got to they have 300 employees, 500 employees, where you have already decent size of the sales team, and they all run on the Salesforce. So if we wanted to say, hey, these are the processes, but you need to reflect them also in your Salesforce and change the way how you work with the tool. So we got triggered, okay, maybe let's set up our own subsidiary company, which does the Salesforce implementation, outreach implementation, how to connect it with Zoom info, and so on, and other tech stack which you use along the way. And so you have processes, you have systems, you need people. So then we do the recruitment of the salespeople, and then you need the training of the salespeople, and not only training of the salespeople, but also changing the sales leaders. We deliver the trainings, but now we need sales leaders to reinforce the new know-how. So that's how we look at it and how we got into that.
Yeah. So you made a subsidiary. Is that just to stay niched in sales doc? Because people can sometimes get confused, right? Oh, are you an implementer? Or are you a consultant? So you just kind of keep a clean break between the two?
Yeah, exactly. This, we look at it exactly from that perspective. So we have subsidiary, which is called blackbison.io, which does the implementation, and it's we're the mother company. This is the child company.
Yeah. Okay.
And we wanted to, we went with the micro brands, not to confuse the people. Hey, Sales Doc, this is a consultancy. This is about trainings and processes. Then we have the Black Bison, which is about technology, and we're going to be creating a new entity. We just don't have the name yet. And this one is about headhunting and talent acquisition for your sales and marketing and customer success.
So how separate is it? Like, do you still run it, or did you hire like a CEO or president to run that and they report to you?
We wish we would be at that point already, but we want to get there. So sure, far, okay. How we look at it is that above all, there is a group level, and each entity, we're building their leadership team, and we started actually last year. So we're in the transition. I guess one more year it will take us, that every entity will have 2 leaders that can run the business as such. And we can as founders get on the group level and not to be involved in the operations of the entities anymore.
So how do you get new customers? Is it primarily referral, or are y'all doing outreach?
Yeah. So for us, we focus on building our brand as a sales doc. So there are two approaches. So I will talk about sales doc, then I can talk about Black Bison. So we primarily focus on building the brand, being visible at the conferences, speak in front of our target group, do the social selling, be part of the venture capital funds, where we consult the startups which are there, and setting up partnerships. In the same time, so we define target group we go after. So that could be Series A companies, which just got investment, and you can expect to grow from 50, 70 people to 200, 250 or 300 people within a year. And there's a lot of change happening. And also specific market, we say, okay, could be Czech Republic, could be Netherlands. So that's where we focus on building the brand. And in the same time, we do the outreach as well. But for that is necessarily that they already know our brand.
Nice.
Here is one thing, because we tried that without building the brand. So we said, let's go to another country, that was Poland, and let's do the outreach. And once we get to the meeting, we can close the business. But it didn't work that easily. If I go on the meeting here in the Czech Republic, for instance, my success rate was 65, 67% from the opportunity to close one. If I did that in Poland, where nobody knew us, it was like 10%, and the deal was super small. And it was logical, because people just didn't have enough of interaction with us to trust us. So they say, oh, that's not a consultant. But and on the meeting, I was running the meeting, so it was the same quality of the meeting, but there was not the support of the brand. I wasn't known in Poland, so nobody was willing to, at whatsoever price, buy our services. So that's how we iterated the approach and why.
So if you can't build a brand in a neighboring country, how do you do it all the way over in America?
Oh, well, we're not expanding to US right now. We focus primarily on Europe. And
Okay.
before that we're not it was not that we weren't able to build a brand, we were not building the brand in general. So we're not focusing on that, because at that time we were like, okay, let's go to Poland. We know how to do sales. We can close the business.
Right.
But the agency and consultancy business is a little bit, it has to be partner-led sales, that you buy the consulting from somebody you trust.
Right.
And it's very hard to build the trust within 30 minutes that somebody will tell you, okay, so now you can work with my sales team for a year, and I will pay you hundreds of thousands of dollars for that. Doesn't happen that in this way.
Yeah, because you're doing big things: interim management consulting, you got your academy, tech and analytics, sales audit, talent acquisition, outreach. So what is the state of a company when they come to you? Are they like a total mess, kind of like your previous company that you left? Are they doing okay, but like they're frustrated, they know they can do better? Are they in just rapid growth? They're like, holy crap, we need all hands on deck. Like, where?
I think you mentioned all the life scenarios.
Yeah. Does anyone stand out, or is it just kind of a mix?
Well, I'll try to describe it pretty much what you say, maybe put it into a small, in the more less of the buckets. One of them is you have a company, 10, 20 people, they have founder-led sales, they have 1-2 salespeople, and they just want to structure it. They don't know how the sales works. They want to implement some first aspects of the sales methodology, so they got clarity into the pipeline. So it's more about defining the sales process, changing their CRM or making their CRM work, and work with their sales team with the basics. Then we get to the bigger organizations that say, okay, now we need to grow from 10 to 70 people in sales. And also we want to maintain the high performance of the sales team. And usually at that moment, they don't have any sales methodology implemented either. So we work with the account executives implementing sales methodology and precisely defining sales process, and with the sales leaders how they could lead them. So it's more about upskilling their sales team. And very often at that moment, they come to us and say, so far we got a really nice suite right on the inbound. So we got plenty of leads. However, we're losing traction with inbound, or we cannot scale the inbound faster. So we need to build outbound sales. And this is totally different discipline for them. And usually that's where we put the interim head of business development and tell them, okay, we will build the outbound sales team for you, put it onto the track, and after a year, you can take over, put there your interim head of, or not interim, internal head of sales or head of business development for that. Because this is that's back to our roots. We were in that business for a really long time, so we know the game quite a bit.
Yeah. So are you putting like a full-time contractor in there as, are they like wearing a hat like VP of sales, or are they like the director of outbound marketing, or like, how is that structured?
Yeah, usually when you set up the BDR department, you start with 2-3 people, because at the beginning, one is not enough. If you cannot compare the numbers with anybody else, if the one fails, then you're back to 0 after 6 months. If the ones get sick, it's very risky to start with one person. So we always recommend, hey, let's start with 2 to 3 people. That's enough till we get the traction. Because if we're in the state, nobody has done it before us. It doesn't make sense to hire 7 people or 10 people right away.
Sure.
For that, we put there one of our consultants, which we have in the team. So it's not that we would search on the market and say, hey, this guy might look for that. Those are actually the people which stayed with us for several years. They built several projects. They use our frameworks, our playbooks. So we put them into the company, build a sales team, and then once the 3 or 4 start getting traction, we can still continue working with the company. But usually they at the moment when we have 5-6 people, they're still looking, hey, now we need a internal head of business development because we want to grow to 20, and we want to have, this is a key competence for us, and we need to have that person internal, which makes totally sense.
Yeah, cool. So will that person that you place in there, are they doing the work? Are they making outbound calls and prospecting?
Well, they do that sometimes to lead by example, but it's not their core business. Their core business is to find the right people, put them up to speed. But very often at the beginning.
Yeah, so they go hands-on with the company and help to recruit that initial maybe 3 people and train them up on doing the outbound.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Cool. On the smaller businesses, how many of them do not have a CRM? I see a lot of businesses. I'm surprised. I'm still surprised. I've done this 17 years, and it's like they have Gmail, Outlook, Google Sheets,
Google Sheets,
whiteboards, notes all over their desk, notes in their phones. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Oh, I got MailChimp. Like, that's not a CRM.
It's not a CRM yet. Now,
do you see that a lot?
I would put the question, how many of them, because they might have CRM, but they still don't use it in a way. Okay, so this is a database where we put the contact, but the real communication is somewhere else and not concentrated at one place.
Right.
So having CRM in the company, I would say majority have it. Using the CRM in the company, majority doesn't. So I would say if we get to the company, 80% have in the CRM just uploaded database, and that's it. The conversation afterwards remains in the emails and elsewhere. And so nobody has.
And that's probably true even for bigger companies, huh?
That's probably also true for the bigger companies. And this one gets back to the sales leaders because always like there are some what is not in the Salesforce doesn't exist, or what's not in the CRM didn't happen. You can use this way, and if the sales leaders, because for many of the salespeople, they just don't like to do that, and I understand it. And you need to have this sales leader who can always get them back and say, hey guys, nice, but put it into the CRM on a weekly or daily basis. Give them the feedback that without that they couldn't move forward. Because there are also plenty of studies. If you use technology in your sales, if you use CRM, your performance go higher, like 20-30% on average.
Yeah. I see it all the time. My daughter picked me up at the airport last night, and she's in college. She works at a kind of a sports bar restaurant, and they have their own beers.
Nice.
And they want their servers selling this beer club membership. And so when she started a little over a year ago, I sat down with her and we role played it. And so I gave her a script for selling these, because my wife was a server, and Sarah's been a server for many years. Our next daughter's a server. But like, I just understand like human interaction, right? I understand sales. So we scripted it out. And so she was killing it. And she says like last week she sold 7. And she's only working like 3 shifts, a week. It's not like
decent.
It's not like you're working 40 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
The waitress, right? And she sold 7 and like nobody else sold any. So it's that big of a discrepancy, right? But the management doesn't know how to enter. They don't know how to process the memberships. And they got a new manager just came in, one of the assistants, and she told her straight up, she says, "I'm not selling these anymore." No, please do sell some. And my daughter's like, it's a hassle. People pay, but the membership is deducted from their bill. So sometimes that people won't do the math. And so like in Europe, y'all don't really tip, do you?
No, we do like 10%, 15%.
Oh, okay. God, maybe is it England? I heard it's like some countries they don't tip, some countries they do, and they're like, man, in America,
that's true.
Okay. So when their bill is, when their meal is reduced, but the membership is added on, they only tip. A lot of times they'll only tip on the new amount. So it's like, well, you ate 100, your bill was 100, it was reduced by 39. It was still $100 meal, tip on the full thing. So, but because the managers don't know how to do it, and it takes a long time to key it in and create a membership. And so my daughter's like, why would I do this? They don't get any bonuses. They'll get a little clap, maybe a t-shirt or something.
Yeah.
So at the smallest levels to the biggest levels, there's always chaos with management. Because she says they're like, hey, go sell beer clubs. But I see it in companies all the time. Go sell some software. How?
Exactly.
Just do it. But you have a quota. You better figure it out.
You're a salesperson.
Yeah, you're a salesperson. You're a professional. Go sell. Like, damn it. You're not going to help at all. But they don't know. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's what we're also explaining quite a lot to the founders. Hey, like for instance, you decided to enter Germany. Germany is a very complicated market for anybody in the world to enter it. Okay. You cannot do that. And if you go there and sell software, like you don't have German pre-sale, you're not ready for, then you cannot sell it. And the whole company has to be ready to invest into the market. It has to be part of the strategy, and the product has to be ready for that. The salesperson as such is just, if you look at Formula One team, the salesperson could be the driver, but there is a whole team who enabled the driver, who built the formula, who was guiding him while he was driving, who was fixing the formula. And if you don't have this one, then for sure the salesperson cannot. He's not a superhuman.
Yeah. So it's cool to hear that regardless of the country, humans are humans.
Yeah.
Like we all have the same struggles with technology, with management, with leadership, with training, on and on.
True.
So, this may be a rudimentary question, but like looking at your website, like do you have code? So does the language change based on where the visitor is coming from, or is English just kind of the default language?
Yeah,
in Europe?
English is
Yeah.
English is the default language. Uh, our target group, where we go for tech companies, usually English is the native or is the default language also in those companies. That all the
Right.
internal communication is English. However, if you want to like grow in Europe and you want to go after the specific markets, you always have to have the guy equipped with the language of that particular market. For sure, he can cover 3 markets, but at least for one of them, the biggest one or the most fruitful for you, he has to have the language. It's a big problem because people prefer to talk into the native language
sure.
rather than English, despite the fact they speak English. So that's
Yeah, I
a
don't
little
blame
bit of
them.
problem.
Yeah. So is it tougher to scale in Europe because of that?
Yeah, you have to be careful with the markets you select.
Yeah.
And it's not like in the US where you have a market with similar culture and 300 million inhabitants there. In Europe, you go, okay, let's go for Spain. That's 30 million. Then we can go to
Right.
Germany. I don't know how many 60 million, or we can go to Poland, which is 40 million. And you look at the GDP and you say, is it worth to invest into that country? And then you have to have a dedicated salesperson. And the Polish guy, you cannot then afterwards take and use him for Spain, because there you have somebody who speaks Spanish.
Yeah. But I see all your logos, scrolling across. Are you, I see Uber Eats, I see Wise Guys, Google. So are you simply working with European tech partners of those firms and helping them, like taking a Microsoft partner and helping them scale their business?
No, it's for the local branches of several countries. So with Microsoft, we're working with Microsoft Czech or Google Czech, or with Uber,
Okay.
we were working with Uber Poland or Uber Czech Republic. So in those countries, we get them with some of them. We work on the European level.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also for sure for some of their partners as well, because usually our business was connected. Let's speed up or develop the markets, and then
Right.
for that you also need to develop the partners.
So those are premier accounts. Like how do you win them? How do you stand apart? Because I've got to imagine Google, Microsoft, Uber, Uber Eats are discerning in choosing their partners, their consultants. Like how do you differentiate?
Yeah, for us, we work quite well. We're highly focused on the tech business. So we don't usually sell for manufacturers or help manufacturing businesses to build their sales teams. Not that if they, well, we just don't position ourselves to that. And so we get the expertise in it, and in the community, we get a good brand awareness. So once we reach out to them, or they get referral to us from several sites, say, okay, if you're in tech and you need this and that, go to SalesDoc, and they hear it on the market 4 times. Then we meet them at the conference and say, hey guys, we just had to, we just have to cooperate with you,
But you're
because
still
nobody.
pretty new in this, right? I mean, you said just 7 or 8 years ago you started, and so you already had to pivot. So you've only had this focus for what, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, for 4 years. It seems to me like an eternity.
In the tech space and in startup, it's like dog years. 1 year is like 7. So yeah, you're like 142 years old for a manufacturer.
Yeah, so I think we should speed up a little bit.
So I mean that's amazing, to establish that type of a brand. That's a short amount of time. I mean, 4 years roughly, right? So you're doing something right.
Yeah, and now we need to replicate it several times into the other countries, which is the complication of the Europe.
Well, I'll be your US rep. Okay. So we'll crank this thing up, because it's kind of where I've been starting to niche, is in the tech space, software as a service, those types of folks. And I like working with smaller companies. big companies are great because they got big checks, big money. But sometimes I feel like, do you ever feel like you're not making an impact? Like they're too big, they're too sluggish.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
get this resistance. It's like, look, y'all are paying me, whether you do this or not. Like, please, people think, oh, it's great, make all that money. It's like, at the end of the day, I feel bad. I've extended contracts with people, like they hire me and then they don't use me. And I'm like, I'll give them another 30 days, another 60 days. I'm like, y'all haven't used me. Like, I would love for you to renew, but I mean, I gotta feel bad if they're not right. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, no. It's exactly for us the same. That's we're in the segment where we are because exactly that we could see some of the impact of what we do, and we can see, hey, this particular organization actually changed, and the people start performing and delivering results.
yes.
Because usually we work with the bigger organization. Well, the budget is very okay. It doesn't happen that much. Whether there's impact or not that many people evaluate that back once they look backwards. Whereas with the small organization, you deliver the workshop and then you sit on one-on-ones with the salespeople, and you coach them, you mentor them on their real opportunities. And after 4 months, you see the change with the salespeople, that they start asking the right questions, they start getting to economic buyers, they start building the champions inside of the companies. I say, oh, that's very, and those customers afterwards, then they all go on the market and start spreading a good word about it, saying, hey, that was amazing, give you a 5-star review. Yeah. And you get more of the traction. Whereas if you go to the corporation, you do the sales, and the performance is then afterwards, like the feeling from the salespeople is, it was good, but actually we didn't start using it, so it doesn't have such an impact on our pipeline. Yeah,
exactly.
But again, it's not about the size, it's about the leadership, how persistent they are with enforcing the things. If they just do, hey, we need some sales education, so let's make a tick and do the sales education. Or if you have the leaders, even in the big organization, who tells you, we need to do the sales education, but we want to transfer the way how we sell. And then this organization works differently.
Yeah, exactly. Very cool. So I'm linking to you on LinkedIn, but your website it's simple, to salesdoc.com, just like it sounds.
Yep.
So do you want US based folks reaching out to you?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So let's do it.
Feel free.
Oh, go ahead.
No. Feel free to do that. Exactly. Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah, and like I was saying earlier, so management consulting, you've got an academy, training programs, online, sales boost, tech and analytics, audits. Like it or not, audit's always a bad word, but hey, at the end of the day, you have to do that. Yeah, you can't expect what you don't inspect. If you can measure it, you can improve it, right? If you can measure it, if you can monitor it, you can grow it. So, and whoever's listening to this, if things aren't where they should be, and really, if you're striving to grow, you're never where you want to be. Yep. A golfer could, shoot a record on the course, and they're still going to be irritated because they bogeyed a hole, they missed a green, they missed a putt. And it's like, you just set a record. Yeah, I left 3 out there on the course. Like, come on. So you always want to get better, so it's a matter of finding the right one in the right area so you grow properly.
Yep. This is actually, I absolutely agree. And that's also for us, we're in the tech segment because that's the most dynamic segment when it comes to the sales. I always call it, this is the most professional sales teams you find always in the tech. Those companies sell without any business card and without a product, with one salesperson, then can make it that within 4 years they have a machine which have 200 salespeople selling and performing. And that means you have to know how to build that machine very quickly. And get everybody up to speed. So for us, it's the same. Like we still need to stay on the top of the game. And what we were doing 2 years ago, right now we're doing different things because the game of the sales changed, and it will be continuously evolving.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's why I like tech as well. I've been in tech almost my entire career, certainly since 2000. So it's I like the evolution. I like the new things, and I can help any industry. Again, humans are humans, but if it's too static, I get bored.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't push you to the next level. I understand this one.
All right. So tell us your name. Pronounce it properly for all of us.
Okay. So in the Czech way, it's pronounced Jakub Hon. So it's,
Right.
but in English, Jacob is fine by me.
Ugly Americans, we just call you Jake.
Jake or this one. Yeah.
I guess that's my son's name. So very cool. All right, Jakub, all the way from Czech, Prague. I keep calling the country the city, from Prague.
Well,
now I have to get out there. I have to get out there and come see you. But
absolutely. You still have your daughter in Europe, right? Or is she back?
No, she was just visiting. She went with my son, actually. So like I said, my son traveled the world for 4 years. He lives in San Francisco now and still travels just for fun. And so he and a bunch of friends went down to Mexico City. So she started there. She flew down alone, but met them there. Then they went to the beach on the Pacific side. So she spent about 2 weeks there. Then he flew to Dubai for work. She flew to Berlin
for party, but you don't know about it.
Well, it was so crazy. So she flew out there, and so Jake's old former girlfriend he went to school with lives in Berlin. So that was nice. So she picked her up and kind of helped her get settled in for a couple of days. And then another friend had an apartment, and he was out of the country. So he let Mary Claire use that. But she came down with a horrible sinus infection. She was so sick. So we were trying to get her help, and she, using European medicine as an American, oh my gosh. She had a video consult with a nurse practitioner from Portugal, got a prescription, but something was wrong with it. There was issues that delayed another day, and she's just horribly sick. Finally got her meds, 24, 36 hours before she was flying to Sweden to meet my friends. So she started to get better, but she was still kind of had a cough. But my friends, they're my age, so they have a daughter her age. So it was great. And they nursed her back to health, and she spent a whole week with them. And so they spoiled her rotten. So that was good. So, because we didn't want her to be too alone, on her first international trip at 18 years old. But she did it. Yeah. She spent 8 or 9 days with them. And she came home just before Easter. So it's been a few months.
Okay. Honestly.
Yeah, she did it.
Good that she said and made it.
It was cool. And I was in the military. So I've been to Korea and Thailand and Middle East. I met my son in India. I met him in Buenos Aires. I met him in London.
Oh, nice.
So that was cool. I spoke in Slovenia. So, but my wife hates traveling, so she won't be doing too many of those international trips.
Okay, I understand.
And my second son, he does not like to travel. So, everybody's different, man.
Everybody's different. That's true. That's true.
All right. Well, hey, it's dinner time for you?
Yeah, it's 8 p.m. almost. So.
Oh, that's past dinner time.
Well, then I didn't manage to have the dinner time.
Well, I'll let you get to dinner. Thanks for taking the time. It was great hanging out with you.
Thank you very much for the podcast and having a nice talk.
Yep. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye-bye.